the room. And I said, first of all, bitch, you ain't gonna take my title, okay? That's not gonna happen, no way, Jose. Anyways, make a long story short, our next guest is fabulous. Last time I seen her, she was on C-SPAN, get that, ooh. And she's a community organizer, she is fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Robin McGehee.
I didn't know that you would use Brandon. Thankfully, we go way back. So.
Oh, we do.
Okay, so, I was like, don't say the Bitch word out loud.
Oh, girl.
Thank you, Brandon. So first of all, I want to say that all of the people that put this event on today, if you were in this room and you didn't have anything to do other than speaking or entertaining or being an attendee, I think the people that have masterminded and made this event possible need a huge round of applause, because I would challenge the state of California and the other events that are happening across the world tonight with being able to say that they've had the amount of wonderful entertainment and speakers that I've seen by being here, and that performance that happened just before me is just an evidence of how tonight has been, and everyone that put this on should pat themselves on the back, because it's been a fabulous job, and even the organizers that worked to invite me to be able to speak tonight. It's just wonderful, and I really appreciate that. So I want to say that there was a quote that I read today that really spoke to me in reference to this day, and it's talked about waking up every day struggling with two different options. One is to savor the world, and one is to try to save the world. And trying to make sense in the day, which one of those I'm supposed to be doing, savoring the day and the world, or saving the day and the world. And today we mark not only to remember those who've been lost because of transphobia, but we also pay tribute to the lives that sometimes are not savored and appreciated in our community and in this movement even. In 1997, when INDA, which Scotty brought up today, was introduced, there was a decision by our national organization, Human Rights Campaign, as well as Congressman Barney Frank, to exclude trans people from that bill. And our community allowed that to happen on a national level, but it was grassroots organizers and activists who stood up and said, I will not support a bill that does not include the fight for all of our community. And I think that that's the reason, yes. And I think that's the reason that you have so much global and international as well as national support right now around passing an inclusive INDA. But one of the things that you need to know about this particular legislation is that the sad part about INDA is that in 29 states in the United States, a person can be fired for being gay or lesbian or bisexual. But the reality is for trans people, it's 38 states. And the varying difference shows the elements that need to be fought for and saved, because the fact that we live in a country that even shows the discrimination on a larger level towards transphobia, and in a reality that we all know in this community, when 120 people have lost their lives this year from transphobia, and those are the only ones that we know of. This week, Jorge Steven Lopez in Puerto Rico, many of you heard of the death that happened in Puerto Rico, and it was immediately thought that it was a gay hate crime. But people were ignoring the fact that the suspect, when arrested, made the comment over and over again that he initially thought that Jorge was a female, and that's the reason that he went into gay panic. But it was actually trans panic, not gay panic. And our media, our own LGBT media, and our national media that's taken this story still calls it a hate crime based on gay panic. It's our responsibility as a movement to address the issues of transphobia and to say that Jorge did not die in vain only because of a gay panic, but it's our own community's negligence to identify that it was the transphobia that also killed him. And it's our community's injustice in not allowing people to be and savor who they are, which leads us to sometimes exclude people from our community that sometimes already feel excluded because of the internal grief that they feel on a daily basis because they're not making sense of their identity and who they believe they were built to be. So I challenge all of you and the days that you think about making the phone calls that Scotty was talking about that are so important in the politics of our movement, to also think about what are the ways that you can support trans community members, from helping them with services that they may need at Planned Parenthood, to trying to figure out ways that makes it easier for them in the job market, how it makes it easier for renting and finding housing. Because the things that we take for granted, living as a lesbian, gay, or bisexual person, the straight community doesn't even know the fight for a trans-identified person. And the reality is we allow that discrimination to take place if we don't savor the moments to make them more of our community and fight for them, and not just say that we're only going to remember them on one day a year. So I thank all of you for putting this on. I hope that you'll do the work that's not only on a political level but on a social level as well, and that in the end we're not celebrating lives that have been lost that are 120, but remembering that there are many lives that have been lost this year that had not been able to come out of the closet as trans, and they died because of what we identified as gay panic, but it was really the identity of transphobia, because even themselves in an internalized transphobia maybe not have gotten to that point to come out. It was interesting watching recently the movie This Is It with Sebastian, and he said, "Mommy, are you sure Michael is not a girl?" And I thought, interestingly enough, while I sat there and listened to him, his identity around gender norms and roles and rules, he knew that Michael was pushing the boundaries and questioning reality about what you're supposed to look like, how you're supposed to dress. And even in places of Mississippi, what I have on today would be seen as gender bending, or crashing the boundary walls of roles that we're supposed to play. And the reality is that we don't know the demons that Michael Jackson wrestled with. All we know is that we allowed him to be put in a closet and on a stage, and we didn't think about what the internal struggles are. And just as we in a community can fight and try to save the world, we also need to remind people to savor the moments that they're in and try to figure out ways that we can appreciate who we all are and all trying to make a difference. So I thank you all for putting this on, and I hope that in your next steps around INDA, you'll also think about what you can do in your own community to make a difference for the trans people that are so an important part of the fabric of Fresno and the Central Valley. Thank you.